Welcome to TECHSHOW Today. This is our afternoon session from high atop the Chicago Hilton at ABA TECHSHOW 2017. I'm very excited about this show, and you'll understand the reasons for that in a minute once you see our very large panel. So I'm Dennis Kennedy, co-hosting the show, and I'm an in-house counsel at MasterCard, where I cover our digital payments and labs group. I'm the chair of the board of the ABA's Legal Technology Resource Center, and probably most important for this session, I'm the father of a 24-year-old daughter, and I think you'll understand the importance of that and the importance of this panel to me once you see what we talk about.
Hi, I'm Brooke Moore with My Virtual Lawyer, and I'm based outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. I have an online-only law firm that assists self-represented litigants with limited scope services, and I also help small businesses. I'm involved with the LTRC committee, and I'm also on the Futures committee, and I'm relatively new to the LP division, so just kind of getting my feet wet, and I'm happy to be here with all you ladies.
I'm Nicole Bradick. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at CuroLegal. I'm a former attorney and now spend most of my days building digital products focused on innovation in the legal industry.
I'm Linda Klein. I'm privileged to be president of the American Bar Association this year and very excited to be here at TECHSHOW. My day job is as a lawyer at Baker Donaldson in Atlanta. Oh, you've got your own microphone.
Bring it back.
Hi, I'm Heidi Alexander, and I'm the director of the Massachusetts Law Office Management Assistance Program, where we provide free and confidential law practice management consulting services to Massachusetts attorneys. And I'm also a member of the TECHSHOW Planning Board and have been a host of a show on the Legal Talk Network.
Thank you. I'm Kristen Sonday. I'm the co-founder of Palladin. We are a pro bono platform that connects attorneys and law students with personalized pro bono opportunities with the goal of increasing access to justice. So we work with law firms, companies, and law schools to help source, manage, track their pro bono and their impact.
And I'm Steve Best. I am co-hosting TECHSHOW Today with Dennis Kennedy, and I was privileged to be the chair of ABA TECHSHOW 2016, where I had an opportunity to meet Linda, I think for the first time, at her office in Atlanta. We're both from Atlanta. And let me go ahead and just maybe start the questioning. Tell us a little bit about how your year has been so far as the president of the ABA.
Well, being president of the American Bar Association is a privilege that I wish all of you could have. It is certainly a 24/7 kind of a life, and I enjoy traveling all over the country and meeting with lawyers. Right now, right today, the most important topic we're working on is assuring that the Legal Services Corporation will continue to be funded after the budget plans came out yesterday. So we've been on that pretty hard. But taking a little respite from that work here at TECHSHOW, noting that there are more women than men on the TECHSHOW as TECHSHOW presenters this year, and that is really exciting to me.
I think that's incredibly exciting, and Adriana Linares is the chair of the show this year. I think that's an incredible accomplishment, and it's a very exciting thing. And it kind of relates to one of the reasons we brought everybody here, which is Women of Legal Technology, which is an initiative of the Legal Technology Resource Center. And that really goes to Heidi, who wrote this blog post that to me kind of changed the world in a way, because speaking for a long time, people would always say to me, like, we can't find women speakers on technology. And Heidi did this post of, here are all the women in technology who speak, and I would just go to people, look at this list. There are great people. Don't tell me you can't find anybody. So Heidi, why don't you, and then it's great you've transitioned it to LCRC, so why don't you tell us a little about how you got that going and what's happened with that?
Sure. So I hope my kids are listening in. So apparently I've changed the world. I've always wanted to do that. I also have three young girls, so serving as a role model to them, and they're very young, but someday hopefully they'll also be changing the world. So what I did is I've always been very passionate about diversity in the profession and also legal technology, and so a few years ago I wrote up a blog post for the Legal Law Technology Today, which is the LTRC's blog, and I listed about 40 women that I felt were innovators and leaders in legal technology. And the reason I did that was I wanted to celebrate these women, and I also wanted to promote other women in legal technology, because there are so many of us out there, and I think sometimes we don't get recognized, and sometimes we're not great at self-promotion, but we're getting better. And I think there are so many people out there that we don't even realize are out there. And so when I get requests for, I need a speaker for something, and I say, well, I'm sure there's a woman out there who's doing this, so let's look for a woman, and they're out there. So after that initial blog post, I got some great feedback, and people said, this is such a great idea, we love this. And then beyond that, I did it for the second year, and I proposed it to LTRC, and fortunately LTRC took it on as an initiative of the ABA, and since then we've now pushed it out to the community, and we've received nominations, and this year is our second year of taking nominations, and we're adding 10 women to this ever-growing list every single year. And this year we got tons and tons of nominations. I mean, looking through these nominations is just so empowering. It's amazing. So that's the history of it.
Well, and I think as we went through the introductions, I was like, wow, there is a lot of talent in a lot of interesting areas that I think surprise people. And I think, Linda, part of what you're doing this year is you're encouraging things like this. And I'm sure this is something that, I mean, I can see the smile on your face when Heidi's talking.
And I know last year we, at TECHSHOW 2016, for the first time in many years, we were able to invite a woman to be our keynote speaker, who was Cindy Cohn of the EFF. I can't. The name of
Frontier Foundation.
Yeah, Electronic Frontier Foundation. Thank you. And she was phenomenal. And so, the board that plans ABA TechShow really has taken an initiative to bring more women onto the ABA TechShow faculty. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
absolutely. I mean, you look at, actually, there's two of them sitting right there on the faculty. So there are many, many more. And as Linda said, I mean, we're over half women faculty members at TechShow, which my understanding has never, ever been the case. The last I checked, I think the last year was about 30%. So we boosted that number by a lot.
Well, I thought maybe we'd give everybody a chance to talk a little bit more detail about what it is that you do, because I was fascinated as you went through the introduction. So I don't know if, we'll see who has the microphone.
Apparently Nicole is going
It's
first.
me, okay, apparently it's me. And I guess one thing I just want to note real quick is I think that these numbers of diversity are not just goals in and of themselves. For me, I didn't grow up around professional women, and it wasn't until I took a job after college. I always thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and I took a job after college at the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. And it wasn't until I saw 30-something young women practicing law, and I was like, they look like me. They're doing, it seemed unattainable. Going to law school seemed like something for like the freakish, insanely intelligent people that I could never possibly attain. And looking back now, that seems absurd, but I just didn't have that exposure in my life. And I think it's the same with something like legal tech, is I have gotten to where I am because of a lot of women who have helped me along my way. There have been men that helped me too, but it has been the women who I could identify with and say, okay, they're doing that, I can do it too. And I could spend this entire half hour listing off the women who have helped me. And I feel like now I'm at a point in my career where I can turn around and lift up the younger women who are starting new companies, like Kristen's company. And I want to do whatever I can to help. And I think that's the value of having this high level of women speakers, is that you're offering yourself as an expert to people who might just want to see somebody who they can use as a mentor. So that is a rant. That is not what you asked me to talk about at all. But
it's perfect. It's
sorry
excellent.
about that. Yeah. So my company, we're in the legal innovation business. So we build products that are focused on making lawyers more efficient and also making the law more accessible. So all we do every day, day in and day out, is work with bar associations, legal aid organizations, law firms, who are all trying to figure out how to use technology to innovate in the legal space. We've had such good fortune to be able to work with Linda on some projects. She is absolutely an amazing leader, and her presidency, I think, is going to be felt for a long time to come.
Well, I'll follow that now. I don't have a rant, but I will say
I'm full of them.
I enjoyed that. Whenever I got started, I kind of was in a similar place as you. I didn't really feel like that was something that I could attain. I actually started after I'd already had children and went to law school. My husband's in the military, so it wasn't an easy road getting there. And having three small children, I have three small children as well, it was difficult to kind of get into the legal field, find my place. So I tried different things, and I got into telecommuting for different firms. Went out of Pennsylvania and realized, hey, this is going to work. This is good work-life balance. So this will work, better for me, and try to find ways in which to, utilize that to actually advance the profession. So I started working with Arkansas Access to Justice, volunteering on some of their initiatives, and I found unbundled legal services or limited scope, and thought, wow, this really is going to fill a gap for the middle class, legal consumers that is not currently being addressed. And when I was in practice, I just felt like these people, I'm in a state that most people can't afford traditional legal services, and our legal aid service providers are very understaffed due to funding, and there are rural areas of our state that don't even have a practicing attorney. So I thought, well, I need to find a way to be able to help these people where it's both affordable and it's also accessible. So I looked into it, read different books, talked to different women. There were a lot of women that were already doing things in legal tech or just in the access to justice field that inspired me. And so I kind of met those two things together and decided, well, I'm just going to take this entirely online. I don't go to court. I don't enter my appearance. But there is a need for people to start with an attorney because they don't understand their needs. So you have an attorney there to walk you through the process and to really customize the process to your case and to your budget. And even if it gets beyond that, a lot of people don't know an attorney. So I'm able to say, look, I trust this person and this is a good fit for you, and put them in touch with those people. So I started out as Arkansas virtual lawyer, and just recently developed my virtual lawyer, and my new website just launched this week. So I'm excited to, I've been talking to some people in some neighboring states, so I'm excited to try to take limited scope and access to other states.
That is fabulous, and I'm so impressed with that. I live in a state where there are 6 counties with 0 lawyers, and the idea of people being able to access legal services when and where they need them is so critical. And there are so many people in this country that don't even know that their problem is a legal problem that needs a lawyer to help them solve it. So, bravo.
Thank you.
And as each of you launched your careers, did you, when you started out, going to law school, did you have any thoughts in your mind about technology and how technology might impact the practice of law?
Can I say that I'm old enough that when I went to law school, we just got in our law school the very first machine that would do online legal research. And we had to sign up and wait our turn to be able to access that machine. And it was amber-colored screen, and you would dial a number in Washington, D.C., and when the line picked up and you heard the of the modem, you put the receiver down on that, and then the slowest thing in the world would find you a case or two with using Boolean logic, and you were so excited that you could do this. So I'm disqualified from answering that question.
Well, I have to say that I do. I remember those machines in the law school library too.
So I will allow you to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Kristen, because Kristen actually is participating in the Startup Alley that we have this year. So new companies at TECHSHOW that have the opportunity to present there and do a pitch. Right? You did a pitch the other night, so I'm sure Kristen has.
Great, thanks. Yes, thanks so much for having us and highlighting legal tech. It's, I think, a really exciting time, so I'm honored to be a part of it. And my background is more so in technology. So with my last startup, we were using technology to help scale friend networks. And I met my brilliant co-founder, Felicity, about 1.5 years ago, and we were talking about the access to justice gap and our personal experiences working in the legal industry. And we started brainstorming about ways that we could apply this technology to scale access to justice in a smart and streamlined way. So, of course, as you all know, there are about 1.3 million lawyers in the U.S. who have this professional responsibility to do 50 hours of pro bono per year. But it's pretty tricky and disaggregated to find cases that match what you're looking for, your background and skill sets are and availability. And on the flip side, 80% of low-income individuals who need legal help never get it, which was really frustrating to us, and especially because the justice gap disproportionately affects women, minorities, and immigrants, of which I'm a woman, I'm Latina, and Felicity is an immigrant. We found that to be a really personal mission as well as a professional one. So we've built out Palladin, which is this pro bono platform that aggregates lawyers who are looking for pro bono opportunities and legal aid organizations with cases that match the skill sets of these lawyers to help really process and streamline the pro bono experience in a good way. And then also using data to track case progress, outcomes, hours, and impact, and really highlight the fantastic work that these lawyers are doing so we can use this momentum and this surge in pro bono interest right now and really turn it into a longer-term pro bono culture that can really outlast this, this immediate surge that we're seeing.
That's really cool. And what's interesting to me, Steve, because I sort of think in some ways, and I sometimes feel like I'm a little bit of an exception, but we got into legal technology because we like tech,
Right.
you know, and we like to get, there are a lot of gadget people, there were other things like that. And I always felt I was a little bit unique because my entry point really was the internet, because I felt it was like the greatest thing since the printing press, and everything, you know, came from the internet and all that it could change. And so it seems like what's interesting here, what I hear is like, there are some problems that you see, some ways that you can serve people better. And technology is now seen not as a separate thing, but just part of that solution. So do you guys feel that it's sort of a growing perspective, something that you bring to it, that, or, I mean, there definitely is a generational thing with the startup thing, because I think we talked once, like, like, if you're a lawyer and you're into technology, in the past you would say, I'm going to become a consultant. Now, I think the lawyers say, I'm interested in technology, I'm going to do a startup.
I could speak to that a little bit. So in pro bono, of course, there are so many fantastic legal aid organizations and nonprofits that are doing incredible work, and law firms and companies and schools that are looking to build out programs, and they all use kind of different forms of technology and different programs and processes. So I really see this tech boom in legal tech as an opportunity to streamline processes across the board and really enhance the work that everyone is doing. So, you know, we started off thinking about what can we build to facilitate these connections, and now we're talking to organizations about what can we build to help streamline the client intake process within the LAO or the nonprofit. You know, what else can we do beyond this initial platform to just help people operate more effectively and more efficiently? So I think this is only the beginning, and it's really exciting as we continue talking to more people and learning about what their tech needs are and where they want to be, to use that to develop something longer term that helps take everything to the next level.
I think your point is right. When we first started appreciating what technology could do, we were looking at it as a way to level the playing field between lawyers in small firms and lawyers in large firms. And as technology has developed, become cheaper, become easier to use, become more comprehensive, now we see it as a way to be able to make the pie bigger, to expand services to more and more people. And that's what's so exciting about it.
Right, and I think that also what's interesting, I think what you see, because I think some of the coolest things are happening in legal services, the pro bono, sort of at the low end, but the way they're dealing with some of the issues is, like, how do you communicate legal concepts? How do you provide instructions in a way that people can understand in different languages? What does that mean for usability of a website? And so I see a lot of innovation being driven out of legal services, especially because they're on the front lines of that, and they've had some experience with that. So I don't know whether that's the different, well, I don't know what it's fair to call a women's perspective, because I think I see more of that, but it seems like the problems that you all saw kind of relate to, like, okay, how can people use this? How can we help people versus what platform does it need to be on? That sort of thing.
We all agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all agree.
I could see everybody nodding their head. It was great.
So now, having said that, I mean, here we are in 2017, and you all, you're leaders in technology. Where do you think technology is going in the next 3 to 5 years? Or how, and, you know, how do you think technology is going to continue to facilitate the delivery of legal services in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, for me, the most exciting thing that's happening right now is the use of technology to expand access to justice. And I think the more we can automate the things that lawyers do that are automatable, and then bring that out to the masses at scale, the more they can access the services that once were unattainable. So I think we're going to see the continued automation of things that lawyers used to do that are sort of lower value, but that can be made accessible to consumers so that they get that access. We're seeing that all over the place right now, and I think that's only going to continue to grow.
Any other thoughts?
Oh, sorry.
I think in addition to that, education is a huge component. I find a lot of times, people don't realize that they have other options. And, we're in a do-it-yourself kind of culture. So a lot of people are actually comfortable taking on pieces of the more administrative task. And they're also really comfortable going online and getting services online. And they also want things instantaneously, kind of like you said. They want it convenient, and they want to be able to not have to leave their office and dredge downtown and try to find an attorney, and it's kind of intimidating. But I think as consumers are more educated on their options, that you're going to see more consumers seeking that out.
So you think the consumer is going to drive some of the technological changes that we'll see in our profession?
They already have.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I come at this from a little bit of a different perspective because my role is to help lawyers, and so I'm thinking a little bit less about like access to justice, but how I can keep lawyers in business and doing well and providing for their families, and so a lot of what I'm seeing now is that a lot of the technology is there, or at least we know it's there. It's available. People are building it. But then the question is how can it be implemented properly? And I think people are struggling with that. And so I think we're going to see a little bit more in terms of how really thinking strategically about how you build these systems the right way and how you can implement it in your own practice. And that's usually what I talk to people about in my line of work.
But that's really fabulous, because if lawyers are freed up to spend more time practicing law, if they're not worried about chasing new clients or chasing the bills and all of the administrative tasks, then you're allowing them to have time to do what they love, what they were trained to do, which is practice law.
At a very high and creative level, which is if you strip away the stuff that's boring to us, so I can say I can do a lot of creative things, which is what I'm really good at. And if you ask me to fill out spreadsheets and stuff like that, I'm really bad at that. Everybody knows that. So I guess as somebody said something at the beginning, said that there were women in legal technology who'd helped them out and who'd shared things. And I would say the same thing, because I've co-written with Allison Shields a number of books. There's Sharon Nelson, other people I point to, very influential to me. And I have the sense that there's more of a role model sense of some of those people. But I think people have been really involved, and there's a lot of excitement around this. So I don't know, this is another I agree question. But I'm kind of curious, like, how you see, what's your sense of women in legal technology? Like, what are you going to bring to the world of technology, and how do you see it happening as you start to replace the generation that was above you, which includes probably Steve and me?
And me. One of you younger people has to go first.
So the question is.
So what do you think that the energy that the women of legal technology, as we put this together, and you guys start to meet each other, because one of the things that Steve and I talk about is we started out in this, one of the great things was we found other lawyers who were interested in technology who weren't being listened to in their own firms, and we formed our own community. Right. I think you have the possibility of forming the same type of community and doing some amazing things that we weren't capable of because everything's so different.
Technology wasn't there.
And I think that's it, is that for so much of this technology, it's a very low barrier of entry. And so that's why a lot of times when we're looking at a problem, we often go to technology because the barrier of entry is only getting lower, and it's so scalable. So, so I think we are building a very strong community of women in legal tech. I think it's for the women who have been in it for a while. It's our job to reach out to the women who are just starting out. I think it's an obligation to answer the phone when it rings, or respond to the emails and give whatever advice and help we can. And for the younger ones coming in, to not hesitate to reach out and be a part of this community and contribute. I think we all have to sort of, to make this system work, we all need to be helping each other, and I think it's very much happening.
It's such a welcoming community. I think women and men as well. That's why I've found everybody's been helpful. I go out of my way to try to help anybody who asks me with things, and so I think that's great. So I think you make a great point about building that community and the ways that you can start to work together.
One of the great things about being involved in the ABA, and this has been true my entire career, I've been a member of the ABA since I was a law student, and I really don't want to tell you how long ago that was. But the members of the ABA are incredibly generous with their time, and they help each other. I used to bring my files to ABA meetings and have more senior lawyers help me and mentor me. And I can tell you some very funny stories about that, but we don't have time for it. But the point is that being involved in the American Bar Association is a great way to become part of the network and a great way to have mentors.
So other view, kind of your point of view of what you're going to bring to the table?
Yes, so I mean, just being on this panel even is such an honor, and I feel like, mentorship, and Nicole, you've been so wonderful to the Palladin team, which we appreciate, is really about two main things for us. So number one is exposure to these strong, impressive, brilliant women who are paving the way, and who, like you said, you see them and you're like, oh, they look like me. I can do that too. I'm inspired, and that might encourage women to get into technology who wouldn't have otherwise, or get into law who wouldn't have otherwise, and who are really going to make a long-lasting impact. So I think that exposure is really important. And then the second piece is education. So just going back to, learning from your collective experiences, sharing with you the ideas that we have, and getting your feedback. And also, I view myself very much as a student and someone who's learning every day from past experiences, and trying to incorporate them into how I move forward both personally and professionally. So I think the role model piece is so important, and we do have a responsibility to give it back to the next generation. So it's a fantastic experience to be here.
Heidi, your thoughts?
Well, I think there's a lot of collegiality among women in legal tech, at least as far as I have seen. And, I think sometimes the millennial generation gets a little bit of a bad rap that we're all about ourselves, me. But I do think we're a little bit different in terms of, we're a lot of entrepreneurs, we're independent-minded, but we want to learn from other people. And so there is that education component, and I think that I think we're going to see a lot more collaboration in terms of in our generation, at least.
Brooke?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Heidi. I was just going to say collaboration, I think, is very important. I know part of the reason I've gotten so involved in the ABA was because I needed that group of women. I needed to seek out people who were also, into advancing the profession and technology, and it's been great for that. But since I've put myself out there have been other women in my state, from other states, that have just reached out with their interest and expressed, how can I do that, or how can we collaborate? So I think that collaboration is really important, and I think that's going to be one way that we'll be able to kind of grow together and get out there.
I think many people have said over the years that there have been, over the course of the last decades, that there's been barriers to entry for women into various professions. And I wonder if you all could speak a little bit toward whether you think those barriers have been removed. Are they still there? And if so, how do we address that?
I would love for the younger women to take that question first, because I have my own opinion.
I mean, I definitely think there could be barriers. I was really self-conscious because, from the South, I didn't even like to talk in front of people because obviously I have a really thick accent. But also, like you said, when you come from a different background, you don't see women around you in that position. So, I think there could be, but, I just don't care. So if I have an idea, I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, I've talked to Nicole about some crazy ideas I had, and she was very supportive. But she's like, let's just do that. Yeah. But, I kind of think you can limit yourself. I'm not super tech savvy, but I had an idea, and then there are other people that you can collaborate with. There are other services available. So, I feel like, yes and no. You can create your own barriers, and there are barriers that I'm aware of. But I just don't care. So.
Yeah. And when I started out, I had a few instances with gentlemen who had been in the field for some time, sort of the legal innovation, legal tech field, and I got a little bit of like, oh, you're a girl doing a thing. That's really sweet. But most of that has evaporated. I think as part of it is me getting my own self-confidence. I think when you're starting out, you're not so sure about yourself, so it sort of invites that kind of behavior. I think the real challenge is less with being a woman, and in my experience has been being a mother. And I think that has a whole set of unique challenges that, I am extremely lucky. I have a business partner who also has 3 children, and we're just, we're having conversations. There's like children crawling on my head, and he's running out to the bus to get a kid off, and it's just chaos. But it's all sort of accepted that this is how life is. But it's about trying to find that partner and that support system that can handle the fact that children are a major part of my existence, and they need to be the primary focus. And that it's a unique challenge. But I think that in law, in like a private firm setting, it was a bit more difficult for me than it is now doing my own thing. I mean, I don't apologize anymore. If there's a kid screaming in the background and I'm on a call with a client, I'm sorry, there's a kid in the background. As opposed to before, I would like run around the house with the kid behind me, like just like putting it on mute, like trying to escape the child, and then like quickly unmuting it to talk. And now I got a kid here, he's screaming. So I think there's unique challenges, but I think it's getting easier.
So I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with that. And I actually run a moms group, which is a support group for attorneys who are moms. And I cannot tell you the number of barriers that I've heard. I mean, very, very, very challenging situations. So I absolutely think that the barriers are still there, and we need to address them. But I think that focusing on child care and making sure that we're supported in that way. But I also think that men can be really helpful. I mean, look at these 2 guys, and Dennis, who's the chair of LTRC, who adopted this initiative, without blinking an eye, and has been extremely supportive. And I think you need those men too to be supportive and to be sponsors of women, and they're out there. We know they're there.
Absolutely.
Thanks. So I agree, of course, that there are barriers, but I'd actually like to push back and change the narrative a bit. I'd like to talk about why it's great to be a woman in tech, and why it's great to be a woman in legal tech, rather than, what are the problems, what are the issues we deal with, because there are so many incredible women doing awesome things, and I'd much rather highlight that and our developments and our future in the industry, which I think is really bright. I was looking around last night, or I guess 2 nights ago now, at Startup Alley in the pitch competition, and there were 3 women out of 12, so 25%. It's a good starting place, but maybe next year we can take it up a notch, and every year just get better and better and more involved and more diverse and more inclusive. And yeah, I think this is just the beginning.
Linda, do you want to?
We want to hear from you.
Well, there's no question that women continue to face significant headwinds in attaining equality in the legal profession, and that the pay gap is something that's been studied a lot. The ABA has only 3 goals, and one of them is diversity. The ABA Commission on Women will be celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, and the material that the ABA Commission on Women has available to all of the women out there in video land. Take a look at the AmericanBar.org at the website. We've gathered a lot of those materials together on something called ambar.org CWP resources. CWP stands for the Commission on Women in the Profession. Things like the grit and growth mindset that we have been hearing more and more about helps women succeed. There's stuff about negotiating your pay, whether you're a partner in a law firm or a younger person. So there are so many materials out there that can help you as we try to level the playing field for all.
Yeah, I mean, so what Heidi said was when she proposed the idea, I don't know whether you ever got a reply in the affirmative to anything as fast as I replied to you, because I thought this is perfect. And so part of my attitude, I know, comes from me, but it comes from my wife and daughter as well. And so I look as I get older in what I'm doing, it needs to go to the next generation, some of the things that I've done. So I'm always looking for people that I can mentor and actually transfer things on. And so where I've noticed the barrier, most interestingly, a barrier, is that when people ask me to speak, and I'll recommend people, and I almost always recommend women now, it's fascinating the pullback I see. Now, it's partially maybe they wanted me specifically, but it seems like there's a different thing. And then also, I will go ahead and say it, the amount that women get offered to speak is different, and it's lower. And that shocked me when I first started to see that. So I think there are some things out there. So I guess one conclusion I would draw for all of you is that when you're asked to speak, ask for more money.
Wait, no one ever offers to pay me.
Well, that's after you're done with your term.
I'm going to send you my bill.
After you're done with your term, they'll be paying you to speak. Just remember to ask.
Okay.
So I think we're almost at a wrap-up point, and if I could ask maybe each of you, and as we wrap up, what's your best advice to a woman who's interested in a career in law and technology going forward?
We'll start
At the end, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my advice to other women is just to not, hold yourself back. Don't be in your own mind, to put yourself out there, and not get in the way of that. So I know, like, a lot of us are obviously very creative, and a lot of times people think that can't really mesh well with a legal career, but I think don't let yourself set your own limits on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, my advice would be much broader, which is just find a problem and become obsessed with the solution. And if you want mentors in your life, reach out to them, because people are there to help.
I'm going to go next.
Okay. All right, yeah, I was going to echo that, which is mainly seek out mentors. I mean, there's so many women out there that are doing amazing things, and get out there and meet people. I mean, places like TECHSHOW where, you're meeting someone like Kristen and Brooke, and I've become good friends with Nicole, and the ideas and the creativity. I mean, it's really empowering, and so I would encourage people to get out there and start sort of absorbing all of this.
There's a concept with respect to the lean startup machine mentality that says get out of the building. And it's a similar concept in that you have to constantly be getting outside of yourself, of the literal building, and talking to people and understanding their pain points. And you might have an idea of what the solution is, but until you get out and start trying it out and testing it with people and iterating, you're not going to be able to find the right solution. So especially within tech, you're constantly iterating, you're constantly learning and figuring out what the best solution is moving forward. So I would say, yeah, get out of the building and start making it happen.
Basically, what everybody has said is develop your own style. And the way you're going to do that is not to sit in your room, but to join the ABA. That's for sure. I hear millennials aren't joiners, but here's some proof that they are, and that is wonderful. There's no substitute for hard work. There's no question about that, and there's no substitute for being part of a team either.
See, this has been wonderful.
This has been fantastic.
We could go on. I know you guys are recording another podcast. There'll be audio, so the conversation will continue. But on behalf of Steve and I, this has just been great. I'm happy to help anybody, anytime. I'm sure Steve is as well.
And thank you all for making so much your time to come and talk with us, and thank you for being such innovators in our industry.
And then the announcement of this year's class of Women of Legal Tech is going to happen in about 2 hours, so people need to look for that because I have seen the list and there's some really great names on it. So thank you. That's our episode of Tech Show Today for early afternoon. We have one more for you a little later in the day, and hopefully you stay with us for that because we have a couple of great guests. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're supposed to pretend that we're talking and laughing and then...